Chapter 190, Antlers, Assumption, and Artillery. This is just a short version because it is not appropriate for a YouTube video. If you want to read the full story, please take a look at the description. Bjorn holds the door open and Holly enters with a confident stride. Right, so I suppose it's time we start to unpack, and he interrupts her mid-sentence, wrapping an arm around her shoulders and pulling her into a kiss. She leans into him, momentarily taken aback by the sudden show of affection. "We're in our safe house," Bjorn says, locking the door behind them. "Isn't it time we took a break from all that teasing and played out the consequences?" His hand moves under her t-shirt, lifting it slowly, as if to mimic her own teasing gestures. She squirms and a grin dances at the corner of her lips. "By the goddess, Bjorn, you sure know how to play hard to get," Holly exclaims, her eyes shining with anticipation. He simply chuckles, moving to help her out of her shirt. He then shrugs off his own shirt and leans in for another kiss. Holly, feeling bold, decides to take control of the situation. She playfully pushes him onto the bed and climbs on top of him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "You don't have to ask me twice," she says, her voice husky with excitement. Their laughter fills the room as they continue their playful banter, their worries momentarily forgotten. There's a snapping sound as Bjorn unbuckles his belt. Holly's eyes widen in anticipation. "Ready to see if these bold words of yours can match up to your actions?" she teases. Bjorn chuckles at her boldness. "Guess we'll find out, won't we?" he retorts, matching her teasing tone. The night continues with playful laughter and the gentle hum of shared affection, their bond deepening with every passing moment. They fall asleep in each other's arms, wrapped in a cocoon of warmth and love, far removed from the harsh realities of the world outside their safe house. Chapter 191, The Pirates. "All right, this portion is finished," Jean-Luc calls out, and massive chunk of machinery he just ran a check on floats away as if gravity just came home from a night at the bar. His gaze follows it to the free-flying pillar in dozens of portions, and the piece he just helped with, a signal scrambler, joins the rest of the tower to cap off the trinity of a communication pylon, a shield battery, and an extremely long-ranged burn laser capable of hitting targets at intersystem distances with numerous currently inactive axiom siphons and positioning gravity engines to give this monster an ability to dodge on top of the brutal ambush it would be a part of, and its protective shield. The whole thing flickers as it activates, then deactivates. "We're good. Send it into space." 10-4. Getting started on the camouflage barrier now. Franklin answers Captain Lilpaw as water and gravel soar up to surround the multi-use pillar and forms a cocoon around it. "All right, give me the math. Where are we sending this?" A holographic display showing the entire Vuxa system illuminates, and a moving target in the orbit of Vuxa 6 highlights itself. Numbers run along the bottom to show speed, angle, and distance calculated as Franklin concentrates and starts visualizing the numbers. Then with a bang, the entire satellite and camouflaging shield of stone and water are replaced by sheer vacuum. "Sending out a handshake signal," Jean-Luc remarks, and there's a sensation of waiting, part of him hoping something has gone wrong as he'll have nothing to do if it hasn't. Then it returns, and their newest hidden toy confirms that it's safely in a stable orbit around Vuxa 6 and well hidden in its planetary ring, much like the other 100 they had put in there, all of them just waiting to burst out of their frozen shells of water and granite gravel to open fire on invaders, on top of providing an emergency communications relay network. That's a wrap then. Good work. Our home system now has both a fully operational and a hidden defensive grid. Captain Lilpaw cheers out, and there's some smattered applause that's interrupted by the sheer cracking sound as Franklin forgets to turn off his microphone, as he stretches and seems to pop every joint in his body simultaneously. I felt that one, ouch. Franklin's mature and reasoned response is to hold his arms out over the microphone and stretch in such a way that his elbows pop with all the subtlety of a gunshot. This brings about the equally mature response from the from the pirate captain and Duchess, is to grab one of the pieces of granite gravel to throw it right at his head. Ha! Missed! Franklin cheers as he dodges. Pinnacle of maturity, magic man, Jean-Luc remarks as he cracks a yawn. It had been a long day of boring work and hardest on Franklin, who had been transporting the literal hundreds of massive satellites entire planets away. Furthermore, there was promises of even more of these things being made later for more traditional construction and hiding. But the option of simply teleporting massive satellites into position and disguising them so easily was too good to pass up. It wasn't like the plan from the captain was a bad one. It was just one that would take a long time to finish and would be very complicated and tedious to work on in the here and now. But an end result of thousands of attack and communication satellites that can not only maneuver and protect themselves, but absolutely bombard any threat to the system from anywhere else in the system was not one to sneeze at. The opening attack of a system being invaded was to cut the communications, but with this in place, the normal communication pylons were nothing more than great big distractions and an initial warning and tripwire for enemies to foolishly lower their guard after attacking. Break the initial satellites and the hidden ones go online in silent running, just waiting for a signal to viciously burn everything they don't recognize on the IFF. Well, I feel safer already. Now we need to get to work on the shielding systems, Agenda says, and Jean-Luc groans. The woman had a now fairly evident paranoid streak that had been awakened by having an entire planet to protect. Enormous shield batteries were being made around not only every major city to protect them, but also even larger ones were being made to project a colossal planetary shield that would cause the uppermost portions of the atmosphere to solidify and encase the planet in a protective bubble. The city-scale shields required a skyscraper wholly dedicated to that nonsense, and the larger ones required a monster, the general shape of the Eiffel Tower, but 3 times as tall and filled in with components while working in a massive singular web. And then after that, Duchess Lilpaw wanted to make planetary bombardment cannons to cause the entire world to be able to fight back at any moment whatsoever. At least she had stopped the mad planning nonsense before commissioning the designs for planetary-scale engines to take the fight to whoever was stupid enough to attack Vuxa at this rate. Baron Martin, a word if you please, Duchess Lilpaw asks him, and his eyebrows quirk up. She had said he'd be getting the title when she found the right land to parcel out to him. Apparently, she had. Coming. He returns as he fully stands up from his seat and heads over to her position. The woman is poring over no less than 3 spaced-out data slates that have wildly differing information. At a glance, it seems she's juggling food supplies, metal production, and basic economic growth all at once. Wasn't this woman good at delegating? Or more likely, this was the stuff that absolutely needed her input, even after having an entire army of paper pushers to clear as much of the logistical nightmare a single planet was already. "Ma'am?" he asks, with a salute, and she still can't hold back a slightly reflexive scoff. "Yes, Jean-Luc. As you can guess by my addressing you by title, I've found a good place for you. You have a propensity for no nonsense and solving problems with explosives. Well, our problem is that we need the slave mines reopened and repurposed into something that can produce the minerals we need without also producing a justified rebellion as well. We have enough problems with every raging asshole out in the galaxy seeing planets like ours as easy pickings without making more problems at home. Reopen the mines and use the carrot. The stick is only for those who are really, really stupid. Got it?" "Another human expression?" she asks, and he nods. "Carrot means rewards, stick means punishments." "Then yes, I agree," she says, and he considers while scratching his neck. Then we best go open pit for the mine. Less chance of a stupid collapse, and the stone and earth will have plenty of use in all the reconstruction. Jean-Luc considers, and Duchess Lilpaw puts down her pads. Also, I want to talk. Let's have a walk, she says, setting everything down and proceeding to lead the way on all fours. They pull away from everyone at the work site and get a bit more distance besides. She then sits down and he stands next to her. You don't want to be here, do you? There are a lot of things happening that I didn't want to, Jean-Luc admits. But you volunteered. You volunteered to be part of my crew. You volunteered and even fought to be part of the Dauntless crew before that. She counters and he sighs before sitting down cross-legged. She now towers over him as he glares out into the distance before sighing again and seemingly slumping into himself. It was supposed to be different, he says. How? I don't know, just not this, Jean-Luc says. I pushed until my skin split open. I literally cracked fingers in the training as I worked and damn near killed myself twice in my munitions training because of it. I was looking to be part of something grand, something that would make everything clear. Instead, things are only getting less and less clear. I understand myself less and have no clue where I fit into anything anymore. Agenda says nothing as the little man opens up beside her. She's had a few recruits like this before. It didn't always end well. I went into training for the Dauntless because it was one of the biggest things to happen in human history, and I wanted to be part of it more than anything. Then I volunteered to be on this crew because it was the next big thing, and now we're here. Here. 5 years ago, I was pumping gasoline and selling candy bars and cigarettes for a living. Now, I'm a baron on an alien world. I'm not like the rest of the guys. Miles is just refusing flat out to be overwhelmed and has straight up pulled it off. Franklin seems dead set on ascending into a higher plane of existence and is getting pretty good at it. Jake and Victor pump iron when they're confused and walk out chiseled like Greek gods. Sai's religious dilemma is keeping him good and occupied. Beck is an asshole who amuses himself easily. Ryu and Lou have that rivalry thing going on, and Marcus seems unfazed by default. The man seems flat out incapable of being overwhelmed. And where did you fail? Agenda asks him, and he pauses and thinks. What? His thought process hits a roadblock. Where did you fail? I don't think I did. Where did I fail? That's what I'm asking you. Surely if you're overwhelmed and out of your depth, then you must have made a mistake. You must have cost something terrible to someone. I don't think I did. I've done my jobs properly and mastered a lot of new tech and skills. Then what makes you think this will be any different? You don't seem to be in the habit of screwing up. Okay, how the hell does a pirate captain get so into psychology? You need to understand how your own crew ticks to stay on top of it. I have to balance the utterly idiotic with the willful and ambitious, and those that are a massive bundle of neurological triggers just waiting to explode into violence. You get good at dealing with people when you find yourself surrounded by the cast-off dregs of society as long as I have. So what? I keep going because I haven't failed yet? Just keep riding the wave until I crash and burn and take out however many people with me as more get caught up in the madness? Jean-Luc asks. Pretty much. No one starts out perfect and mistakes are inevitable. If you screw up being a baron, then you try at it again and again. My first few years as a pirate captain had me putting down uprisings and mutinies every other week until I figured things out. I'm just some punk kid that got through his training. Then I'm just some punk girl halfway through her basic schooling who was kidnapped by the Dark Cabal. That's different. You're right. You chose to be a better person and become more. I didn't. Any other silly little complaints on why I'm giving you a title to more give the girls bragging rights and a reason to latch not only onto you but to each other all the harder. Wait, this is to... The titles among my crew are mostly to keep them both unified and content. Captain's getting a planet. If the girls don't get a share of the booty, they'll have mine on a platter. Easiest way to split it up is to give it to you boys who by default spread it to the girls around you. And since my entire ship is effectively tied into you, 10 loonies, it means that the big job of division is done for me with a minimum of bullshit. Holy shit, you've delegated the job of preventing infighting to me and the rest of the guys. You only just noticed? She asks, and he snorts in amusement. So step 1 is to get some kind of survey done of the area and see where's the best place to get new buildings put together. Not only did we blow the hell out of the slave camps, but building in those places would send a terrible message all around. See? You're already thinking things through and figuring out a proper plan. You'll do fine. Agenda assures him, and Jean-Luc gives off a somewhat rueful grin.